Hello and welcome back to Sharpe's Canon. I'm your host, Captain Rutledge. When we last left Sharpe and Harper, they faced off against treachery and abandonment behind enemy lines. Now, back with the British forces, they are making the last pushes into enemy territory. This is Sharpe's revenge.
Spring of 1814 saw Marshal Soult's French forces facing certain defeat in Bordeaux. The Spanish, Portuguese, and British forces under the command of Field Marshal Wellington forced the French to retreat from Toulouse on April 8th. On April 14th, the Allied forces laying siege to Bayonne scored another victory. However, Napoleon had already abdicated on April 11th under the terms of the Treaty of Fontainebleau. News reached the Allied forces in Spain on April 13th, and with the signing of the Treaty of Paris in May 1814, the Peninsular War was over. The French Empire was dissolved. Napoleon went into exile on the Mediterranean island of Elba. King Ferdinand VII remained on the Spanish throne, though he faced revolts in his American colonies that would lead to the birth of the nations of Mexico, Venezuela, Colombia, Paraguay, Chile, and Peru.
It's estimated some 200,000 French were killed during the Peninsular War, as well as over 300,000 Spanish soldiers and civilians, and 35,000 British. But those counts are on the low end of the official estimates. At least 1 million soldiers and civilians died in total during the war. One of the most bloody events in Spanish history up to that point. And knowing the history of Spain, that's saying a lot. Anyhow, this period of war and peace serves as the background of Sharpe's revenge.
First published in 1989, Sharpe's Revenge was the 10th Sharpe series novel written by Bernard Cornwell. After the Battle of Toulouse, Sharpe finds himself on trial for yet another crime he didn't commit. Teaming up with his friends and some unlikely allies, he goes on a new adventure in peacetime, finding love, fighting old foes, and proving his innocence. The TV series adaptation premiered in 1997. It was directed by Tom Clegg and written once more by Owen Harris. Filming took place on location in both Turkey and England, with the usual returning cast: Abigail Cruttenden as Jane Gibbons, Philip Whitchurch as Captain Frederickson, Fedor Atkin as Major Ducos, and James Lawrenson as Major General Ross. Newcomers include Cecile Paoli as Lucille, Alexis Denisof taking over from Alexander Armstrong as Lord John Rossendale, and John Benfield taking the spot of Olivier Pierre as General Calvet.
Alas, we do not see the chosen men Hagman and Harris in this episode. Fret not, for they shall return very soon.
A fair bit of Sharpe's siege plays into the novel of Sharpe's Revenge, the story taking place less than a month after the events of the previous novel. However, since the TV series inserted the Sharpe's mission episode in between, carrying over story elements was not very lucrative. Let's not forget that the episodes were filmed a year apart as well.
Nonetheless, let's get into the details of both storylines.
Both stories contain the same starting elements: Sharpe's final duel, the Battle of Toulouse, Major Ducos stealing Napoleon's treasure, and Sharpe being blamed for the theft after finding out Jane spent all his money. The novel begins with the duel. Sharpe had challenged Horace Bamfield to a duel after the latter's cowardice in Sharpe's siege. Bamfield fired first but missed. Sharpe then took time to aim a killing shot, but the inaccuracy of his pistol instead caused him to shoot the captain in the buttocks.
They said it was $1 million wound, but the Army must keep that money because I still ain't seen a nickel of that $1 million.
At the French lines, Major Ducos abandons his trust in Napoleon, and with a band of renegades, steals Napoleon's imperial treasury for himself, killing its protector, Colonel Maillot, in the process. From there, Sharpe and Frederickson fight in the Battle of Toulouse, with Sharpe serving as Major General Nairn's chief of staff. Nonetheless, he still joins in with Frederickson for a light company skirmish against General Calvet, though Nairn is wounded in the charge, first in the leg, then straight through the lungs. Nonetheless, the day is won, news of Napoleon's surrender reach the British, and Sharpe looks forward to time in England with Jane. Frederickson's company is to be sent to England, but before they can board their transports out of Bordeaux, They are sent to court by the provosts, presided over by Colonel Wigram.
The reason for being summoned to court? Not for challenging Bamfield to a duel. Not to present facts in Bamfield's court-martial. No. They're charged with stealing Napoleon's treasury. Bear with me. You see, this is all a big ploy by Major Ducos. After the whole Russia debacle, Napoleon had made arrangements to escape from France to America should the worst come to the worst. His heavy luggage, namely his treasury, was moved to the coast for hasty pickup. The coastal pickup? The Teste de Bouche at Arcachon, the same fortress occupied by Sharpe in Sharpe's siege. The only people who knew of its existence were Colonel Maillot, Colonel Lassagne, and... Ducos invented the whole Teste de Bouche cover story and forged a letter from Colonel Lassagne claiming the treasure was stolen once the British left the fortress, and Sharpe and Frederickson remained there instead of retreating with Bamfield in order to cart off the imperial gold. Matters are not helped by a letter from Sharpe's London financiers claiming Jane withdrew 18,000 guineas from his account. And remember the telescope? The telescope Sharpe received from Helena in Sharpe's honor with the To Joseph from Napoleon. Let's just say that telescope was very similar to one found in the Emperor's luggage. Pretty incriminating. In the end, Ducos makes off with the filthy lucre, while his enemy Sharpe rots in jail. Pretty decent plan, but remember, this is Sharpe. Now, how does the TV episode kick off the story?
Instead of starting off with a duel, the episode starts off with the Battle of Toulouse and Sharpe serving alongside Major General Ross, Colonel Wigram, and Captain Frederickson against General Calvet and Major Ducos. Prior to the battle, Sharpe gives Jane power of attorney over his fortune of 10,000 guineas, and promising her to be transferred back to England at the end of the battle. After Colonel Wigram's brigade fails to capture Calvet's position, Sharpe leads Ross's brigade to victory, encountering Ducos during the sortie and humiliating him once again, smashing the scoundrel's glasses underfoot. Ross is wounded in the leg, but unlike General Nairn, he survives. The day is won, but then we get to the episode's stupidest moment.
Beauty and the Beast.
What did you say, sir?
Steady on, Sharpe. Just a jest. We merely meant you're not as pretty as your wife.
Your next move, Sharpe, is to slap my face.
Who is to be your second, sir?
Yeah, Sharpe fought a duel in the novel as well, but that was because Bamfield was a coward in the face of the enemy and nearly killed all of his men. What did Wigram do? Wigram claimed that Sharpe wasn't pretty. It's just so petty, not at all like Sharpe. Hell, if someone said he was ugly in the novels, he'd just counter with a witty retort or just slug the guy in the face. As for ugliness, I imagine a number of English housewives would disagree strongly with that point of view.
It's me you love, not him.
Come on, miss.
Are you right? Save me, Sean. Save me, Sean.
After the French retreat, Ducos was tasked to escort Napoleon's imperial treasury to Paris. Instead, Ducos takes the treasure for himself, sending it to Colonel Maillot back to Normandy, while his toadies kill off the loyalist escorts. Sharpe fights his duel, and much like the novel, wounds his opponent in the buttocks, but soon after he finds out about Jane discovering the duel and returning to England. Soon the provosts arrive to take him to a court of inquiry presided by Colonel Wigram. He is charged with stealing the imperial treasure, evidence against him being Jane and her friend Lady Molly Spinnaker withdrawing his fortune from London, not to mention a false statement likely engineered by Ducos. Frederickson, serving as Sharpe's lawyer, calls for habeas corpus in order to hear evidence from Colonel Maillot.
Habeas corpus. A fellow in the field artillery gave me a law book to wipe my ass with. But I read it instead.
From here, the stories tend to line up again. Colonel Lassagne / Maillot has returned to Normandy to his widowed sister Lucille, and his widowed mother in the novel. Harper engineers an escape attempt in order to meet in person with the colonel. On their way out in the novel, they come across Captain Dallenbourg and Private Weller and Clayton, who aid in their escape. As the Prince of Wales' Own is bound back to England, Sharpe asks Dallenbourg with finding Jane and his old ally, Lord John Rossendale, in order to prove his innocence. Sharpe, Harper, and Fredrickson learn from the priest of Accusations Colonel Lassagne's address. In both versions, the three riflemen journey by night to reach Normandy, but Ducos's Confederates arrived first. The colonel is killed, his fingers mutilated, and his mother is murdered in the novel as well. After that, Ducos and his cronies claim sanctuary in Naples. The major disguising himself as a Polish nobleman, Count Poniatowski. When Sharpe and Fredrickson arrive at the late colonel's chateau, they are met by Lucille. She believes the two men to be her brother's murderers and shoots Sharpe in the leg with a horse pistol. Back in London, Jane meets Lord Rossendale and the two become lovers. When Harper approaches Jane with a letter from Sharpe, Rossendale has the Irishman horsewhipped. In Normandy, after seeing to Sharpe's wounds, Fredrickson explains their situation to Lucille and helps out around the farmyard. He starts growing fond of Lucille, even proposing to her, but is rebuked. He then travels to Paris to get wind of Ducos's whereabouts, while Sharpe and Lucille grow fond of each other's company. Very fond.
Best I sleep in the barn, man.
Yet again, more women finding Sharpe too irresistible and bearing him their
Dumplings. Sound good for dinner, sir?
Not long after, Harper returns to Normandy, giving news of Jane to Sharpe, leading to the point in the episode where Sharpe and Lucille become lovers, though that really already happened before Harper arrived in Normandy.
Beg your pardon, Mum. The door was locked.
In Paris, Fredrickson stops by Ducos's optometrist, finding Ducos's prescription being used by a nobleman in Naples. In the novel, Sharpe and Harper eventually meet Fredrickson in Paris, then sail on a merchantman to Naples. Via the French attorney Monsieur Roland, Napoleon learns of Ducos stealing his treasury and dispatches General Calvet and a handful of imperial guards to Naples to find Ducos. By serendipity, Calvet runs into Sharpe, Harper, and Fredrickson outside Ducos's villa. The two enemies strike up an alliance to take down Ducos. "Do you know where Pierre Ducos is, Major?" "Yes," Sharpe said defiantly. "But I don't," Calvet disarmingly confessed. "So tell me." "Go to hell, General. You're determined to die like a cornered rat, aren't you? You'll die snarling, full of defiance, except I'm under the orders of a fat cardinal to return you to Naples. Have you seen the prison in Naples? You might survive it, Major, but so crippled with disease and hunger and filth that you'll wish you'd never been born. But if you tell me what I wish to know, Englishman, then I'll consider letting you walk away from this miserable kingdom. Where is Pierre Ducos, Major?" "I should have killed you at Toulouse," Sharpe said. "So that was you," Calvet laughed. "The Englishman who can kill me has not been born, Major, but I will shoot you down like a rabid dog if you don't tell me where Pierre Ducos is hiding." "Tell me, Englishman." Sharpe stared into the Frenchman's eyes. Then, with a speed that equaled Calvet's earlier quickness, he slapped the general's face. The blow sounded like a pistol shot. Calvet's head was jerked to one side. "Bastard," he snarled. "Bugger off," Sharpe said in English. Calvet laughed. "You can stop pissing your britches, Major. The gun wasn't loaded, so pick up your bloody rifles and take me into Ducos." He turned away from Sharpe and ordered his men to fall in. The mustached veterans obediently made two ragged ranks, but the three riflemen did not move. Calvet turned on them with feigned astonishment. "Don't just stand there, move!" Still none of the three riflemen shifted. "You expect us to take you to Ducos?" Sharpe asked. "Listen, you goddamn fool! Why should I send you to the cardinal? All he wants to do is steal the gold for himself, and the emperor wants it back, and that's my task, Major. And to help me fulfill it, I'm offering you an alliance. You tell me where Ducos is hiding, and I will let you live. Indeed, I will even offer you the greater privilege of fighting under my command. For a change, Englishmen, you and I will be on the same side. We are allies. Except that I am General of Imperial France and you are a piece of English toad shit, which means that I give the orders and you obey them like a lily-white-ass conscript. So stop gawping like a novice nun in a gunner's bathhouse and tell me where we're going. I don't think we have very much choice, Fredrickson observed dryly. Nor did they. And thus Sharpe was under orders again, back in an army's discipline, but this time serving a new master, the Emperor of Elba himself, Napoleon.
How shall I divide the cheese? By merit or by rank? Who gets the biggest piece?
You do.
Because I am a general.
No, because I bloody hate cheese.
The episode works differently, having Calvet meet Fredrickson in Paris, then crafting up a plan of attack at Lucille's farm. From there, they journey to Naples together. The three riflemen make the preliminary attack, breaking into Duco's villa and taking out his guards. They eventually take hold of the villa with Calvet in support, finding the treasure. For the novel, they capture Duco along with the treasure, while in the episode, he escapes and returns with the local soldiers. Sharpe manages to drive away the attacking Neapolitans with handfuls of gold shot from a small cannon. With the attackers in disarray, Sharpe's band makes good its escape with the remaining treasure. The episode had Duco shot dead while riding away on horseback, while the novel had him executed by firing squad, Sharpe as witness. The episode ends with Sharpe's name being cleared, then bidding Lucille farewell as he rides off with Harper to London to obtain his discharge and find Jane and Rossendale. The novel goes a different path.
I hope she breaks your bloody heart.
In the episode, Fredrickson found out about Sharpe and Lucille's affair early on, but eventually forgave his comrade and moved on. The novelist Fredrickson find out at the very end of the story, as Lucille is bearing Sharpe's child. I should have told you weeks ago, he said miserably, but somehow Fredrickson broke Sharpe's words off by abruptly standing and turning away. I don't want to hear any more. I didn't want to hurt you, Sharpe said lamely. God damn you! I'm sorry. I don't need your bloody pity. God damn you! How many damned women do you want? William, damn you, damn you, damn you! I hope she breaks your bloody heart like the last one did. He thought of following Fredrickson outside, but he knew it would do no good. Instead, he sat for a long time, empty-eyed, watching the sea. And in the end, Sharpe returned to Lucille with a pocket full of imperial gold and took to farming. His career, his marriage, and his friends, all gone. And that was Sharpe's revenge.
This tribunal finds there is no case against Major Sharpe. Accordingly, I am closing the proceedings.
Patrick Harbinson and John Tams would write the next episode, Sharpe's Justice, seeing Sharpe and Harper return to England and serve in Yorkshire, in an episode reminiscent of the Peterloo Massacre. Although it adds layers to Sharpe's past, it doesn't work when it comes to his interactions with Jane and Rossendale, especially when you watch Sharpe's Waterloo straight afterwards.
You know what they say? What? Vive la France!
And speaking of Sharpe's Waterloo, stay tuned for next time. Napoleon will return from exile, and you better believe Sharpe and Harper will march again. Good day.